Alright, boys. It's time for another monthly movie recap. Actually, monthly again. Would you look at that? So let's just jump right into it, the movies I have seen this last month. So to start off with, when I went on my trip to Ohio, there was a movie we watched with my family in the motorhome on the way up there, called Ape x Mecha Ape New World Order. Clearly to capitalize on the release of Godzilla x Kong, as well as, I think, Captain America New World Order. Turns out this is the third movie in a franchise, because there was Ape vs. Monster, and then Ape vs. Mecha Ape prior to this. It's one of those movies by the Asylum. It's a mockbuster, and it was mostly really fucking boring. The monster that they end up teaming up to fight against is like Cthulhu, but they call it like Kalalu, which makes me think of those really bad Caillou Gets Grounded videos where they call him Kalu. Reminded me a lot of that. The movie was really fucking boring to the point that I stopped paying attention after a while. There was a couple of funny moments with, bad acting and dumb shit in it, but overall it sucked. It was a fucking terrible movie. Next thing we're going to talk about is The Substance. Now, The Substance was actually a really good movie. It came out last year, and was clearly written with this dumb feminist agenda in mind, but, regardless of that, it's a really fun body horror movie with that one chick who played the hippie girl in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in it. I think her name's like Margaret Qualley. Chick's fucking hot as hell, and when I looked at it, I was surprised she's like 30. She's like 30 or 31, something like that. Like, she looks good for that age, like real good. But yeah, she's like the younger, hotter version of Demi Moore's character, because like, the whole thing with The Substance is they inject themselves with this thing that like creates another version of them that comes out the back, and then they have to switch back and forth. And if they don't switch, they deteriorate. And even though it is part of her, and the consciousness is never fully elaborated on, and there is like, I think, some continuity too, and like they get bits of memory through dreams and shit too, I think. They kind of become distinct people, and the younger version starts, like, vying to keep control, and the older version starts rotting away much quicker because of it. And then at the end, it just turns into this crazy body horror monstrosity, where she, like, abuses the hell out of the substance, and then tries to create yet another version. It's a really surrealist movie, especially towards the end, because people's reactions and shit don't make sense. There's a lot of stuff in the third act that doesn't really make any sense, but it is a fun spectacle. Best character in that movie is the guy played by Dennis Quaid, who's supposed to be like the asshole, misogynist guy who's like keeping her down, and like, he told her to smile. Can you believe that? He told her to smile. Like, it is so funny to me that bitches like freak out about being asked to smile. Like, what? Yeah, because they don't have real problems. I don't know. But point is, the movie was fun, and the feminist message falls flat, and you can actually kind of enjoy it sort of for the opposite reason, because all of the things that happen to the chick are her own choices. Like, clearly the movie's trying to go with, like, male gaze and male expectations and blah, 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 blah. But everything that happens that's bad to her is her own choices to abuse the substance, her own choices to do all these things. Like, she already had a super successful career that ended, yes, because, she was aged out, but I'm sure she was fine and could have done something else. Like, they were looking for younger talent for that show, right? She could have easily done some other thing. Like, she's famous, she's got the star power, and she's really fucking shallow to this guy that's, like, in her own age group and was a fan of hers and went to school with her and shit like that. She's really fucking shallow to him, and he's actually, like, seems like a really nice guy. She agrees to date him after she starts to feel, like, desperate, and also gets kind of upset at the younger, hotter version of herself. And so she wants to try going and being with this guy, because she can finally bring herself out of her own fucking ego and stop, being like, no, I'm gonna be young and hot only with this thing, right? And, oh, this guy's beneath me. Like, seriously, like, everything that happens in the movie is the chick's own choice. And then, after she agrees to date, she sees the younger version of herself, the new version, and she's like, you know what, no. I'm gonna keep being this, because then I get to be hot. And so then, she just brushes the guy off and, like, stands him up. Like, everything bad that happens to her is brought on by her own choices in the movie. But yeah, it's a really fun movie, some pretty cool body horror, and a really unique concept, even though again, some of the stuff with how it works and stuff like that isn't exactly the most fleshed out or logical and doesn't entirely make a ton of sense. But again, it's a fun movie. Also, there's like a ton of nudity in it, especially for a modern movie, which is nice because you don't really see that anymore. Next up, we got Weekend at Bernie's, which is a movie I have had forever and been meaning to watch. Now, all I really knew was it was about two guys who parade around their dead boss as if he was alive. I didn't know that he put a hit on them to try and get them killed, and I didn't know how much of an asshole he was before that. And I didn't know that it backfired, and the people who used to put a hit on them actually took him out, because he was, like, embezzling, and these two guys that worked for him discovered it and tried to use it to get ahead in the company. They're like, look, Bernie, we found this stuff that really could, they're like insurance salesmen or adjusters or something. They're like, look, we found all this fraud. He's like, you know what, you boys, you're going places. Come meet with me on the weekend at my beach house, and we'll talk it out. And that's where he was going to have them taken out. But again, the guys who he was also in cahoots with the embezzlement and the crime, were like, actually, how about let's take out Bernie instead, because he's reckless. So they take him out, and he's dead for, like, most of the movie. Like, he's only in, like, the beginning alive. And at first, the guys don't even realize he's dead, but then they pick up on it, and then, like, people show up to party, and it just becomes this thing where they're running around, you know, moving and pretending he's alive. And, I mean, everyone knows, like, the memes and shit from that movie, so, you know, it is pretty commonly known, but, there's also a lot of other misunderstandings, like they think that the hitman won't get them as long as Bernie's around, and the hitman keeps thinking that he fucked up and Bernie's alive because he sees them parading around with Bernie, and they keep mistaking other people for being the hitman too. It's a pretty funny movie. It's a fun, schlocky comedy. It's not highbrow or anything, but it's an enjoyable enough movie. I quite enjoyed it. There's also a sequel that's apparently really bad, where they bring him back to life using, like, voodoo or some shit. So yeah, that'd be interesting to see. Maybe I'll check out the sequel sometime. But Weekend at Bernie's was a pretty fun movie. Alright, next up we got Transformers 1986. So Transformers the movie. Now, I'm going to be straightforward with this. The animation is spectacular. The voice cast is phenomenal. We got Orson Welles, Leonard Nimoy, Robert Stack, and just so many other big names in this movie. That I was genuinely really impressed. Now, the plot, on the other hand, I can't really tell you much about the plot. Like, I know that Unicron is there, and he turns Megatron into Galvatron, and they have to, like, they're trying to destroy this Matrix that I guess is, like, the succession thing for the leader of the Autobots, because, spoiler, Optimus dies, and his death is a really good scene. And then he passes down the Matrix, the leadership Matrix, to Ultra Magnus. And so then the bad guys are trying to take it down. Megatron gets ousted by Starscream, I think. And then gets turned into Galvatron by Unicron. Again, it's not, like, super, like, plot-heavy, I think. It just kind of jumps straight into the action. It thrusts you right into it. So it's a lot of fun for that. And I quite enjoyed it. I think it's easily, like, one of the more interesting robot movies I've seen. But again, it's not super, like, plot heavy. There's some cool stuff, like there's these junk creatures. Eric Idle's in the movie as well. There's a lot of cool shit with this movie, so I quite enjoyed it. So, yeah, Transformers 86 is great. It's a very anime movie. Now, people will debate whether or not it's anime, because it was made for American audiences, but it was made by Toei. And you guys know my stance on anime. I just view it as a style, especially because it pisses off weeb purists. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Great voice cast, great characters, and a lot of cool action and animation. Next up we have Ballerina from the world of John Wick. Now, I, first and foremost, am not the hugest fan of the John Wick franchise as a whole. I have liked every entry I've seen in it for the most part. I think that John Wick could have worked as a one and done. The only movie I can remember any of the plot of is John Wick 1. Because it's iconic, because, you know, they kill his dog and then he goes out and he gets revenge. And there's not a whole lot known about the lore of, like, these hitman guilds and shit like that in John Wick 1. It's really more so in the sequels that they build that up. But I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't tell you what happens in John Wick 2 and 3. Like, I know one of them has, like, a horse carriage scene in it, and one of them has, like, a sumo wrestler in it, and, he kills a guy with a pencil. I think they did that in 2 and 3, maybe? I don't remember. Point is, the movies are good. I haven't seen 4. But we went and saw Ballerina, and it was fine. It was fine. It did have some of the girl bossy type shit to it, but at the very least, she wasn't a Mary Sue. She struggled a lot, and they acknowledged her weakness as a woman and having to play to the strengths of being a woman. There is some unrealistic shit like her holding a fire hose and using it against a flamethrower just by herself when a fire hose takes like 3 men to move. But again, it's an action movie, so you kind of have to suspend disbelief for stuff like that. Like I said, it was fine. I probably wouldn't have gone out of my way to watch it if it wasn't for a birthday party that I went to for one of my relatives. Nevertheless, it was enjoyable enough. Again, I'd rather just watch John Wick 1 if I wanted to watch John Wick. Again, I have not seen 4. I've heard mixed things about 4. I have heard some people tell me 4 sucks. I have heard other people tell me 4 is the best one other than 1. So, pretty big range there. Something I did like about this one was they do have another, like, sort of association or faction of assassins called the Cult. That's a lot more, like, savage and brutal than the other ones. So I do kind of like the world building in that, and I do like the setting up in the mountains and stuff at the end of it with that village. And the flamethrower fight at the end was pretty cool. But nevertheless, as someone who mainly thought John Wick worked best as a one and done, although again I did like all the sequels that I have seen, this one was fine. John Wick himself is in it. This one apparently takes place after 4. There is a 5 in the works, confirming that he didn't die in 4 because he has like the missing finger on the one hand that they build up and then finally reveal his hand at the end of the movie. And at the very least, they didn't try to make this chick stronger than John Wick, because I think they knew that that would just be retarded and nobody would take that seriously. So that's good, because John Wick is supposed to be, you know, like the Baba Yaga. He's scary, right? Like, he's this monster. So, you know, it's fine. It's a fine movie. Probably not one that I would watch again anytime soon, but it's fine. It was enjoyable enough. It was better than I thought it would be, but still fine. Next up, we have the first half of a miniseries that I watched. I know last time we did the first half of 10 Commandments. This time we're doing the first half of To Catch a Killer, which is an old movie about John Wayne Gacy that was made for TV. It's been really interesting so far. The guy who plays Gacy does a phenomenal job. And it's a movie basically focusing on the police who are catching Gacy and the evidence and stuff like that. And Gacy just has an explanation for everything. Like, it's a really interesting look at John Wayne Gacy. It's a really fun movie, so I've quite enjoyed it. Nevertheless, I have only watched the first half. I do need to get back and watch the second half. But so far, I've liked it a lot. And speaking of splitting things in half, I did finally finish the 10 Commandments. I watched the second half. Now, 10 Commandments is great. As I said, there are several elements I liked about it more than the Prince of Egypt. However, I will say I do think Prince of Egypt does do the plagues better. Because the plagues are a little bit more graphically depicted, I feel, in Prince of Egypt. Nevertheless, I do think this movie was really good. I also do feel like there was more of a bond with Ramses and Moses in Prince of Egypt than there was in this one. It's still there, and I do like the added detail, and again, this is just my inner sexist coming out. I do like that Nefertiri, Ramses' wife, is the one manipulating him to keep being cruel to Moses because she's mad that Moses spurned her. So I do like that detail. So that's pretty fun. The second half of the movie picks up after the burning bush. It has the plagues. It has the parting of the Red Sea. It, of course, has the wandering in the wilderness and the 10 Commandments themselves. And then Moses sort of passing down the title to Joshua. So, yeah, it's a really fun adaptation of the Book of Exodus. And it was fun to finally watch the second half. And finally, we have a movie called Mud. Now, this is a movie starring Matthew McConaughey as a guy who killed this guy who was abusing this chick that was his ex-girlfriend. I think she was pregnant and he threw her down the stairs or something like that. And basically he went on the run and he told her to meet him up in this different town. His town, like, sort of on a swamp that has a little island out in, like, a lake. And he's kind of hiding out on the island in his old boat. And these 2 teenagers find him there. And they start helping him, like, relay messages to the chick back in town. Meanwhile, the father of the guy he killed is sending people in town looking for him because he wants to take him out because he's a scary guy. This guy is, and it's a really fun movie. And then at the end, there's just a shootout out of nowhere that I did not expect to be in the movie. That was pretty great. Like, just no build-up, just bang, starts shooting everywhere. It's nuts. Yeah, really entertaining movie. I haven't seen a ton of Matthew McConaughey movies. I've seen a few here and there. But yeah, that's Mud. Mud is really interesting. I also do like the father figures in Mud. Like, all of them are flawed, but all of them are good guys. And also, like, there is kind of an underlying thing with women kind of being shitty in the movie too, which obviously vibed with me. But obviously the takeaway isn't supposed to be that, but there is some of that in the movie too. Yeah, it's a really interesting movie. There's this old sniper who's like a father figure to Mud that helps in the shootout at the end. So that's pretty cool. Overall, yeah, it was a really good movie, and this was a pretty good collection of movies I saw this last month. So anyway, that's really all I have to say for monthly movie recap. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good one. Doodles.
Hey, man, let's go home.
I'm gonna fucking die here, Jack!